Here we have Lauren performing heart rate variability and photoplethysmography assessments. Heart rate variability is a quantitative assessment of the autonomic nervous system. Essentially, we used to look at an EKG and think that your beats were supposed to fall very consistent. We now know that there's supposed to be a lot of variability in your heart rate, especially for athletes. Every time you breathe in, your heart rate should speed up a little bit, and when you breathe out, it should slow down a little bit. And this shows us that the two branches of our autonomic nervous system are always playing this tug of war. So we have our sympathetic nervous system, essentially our stress systems, and our parasympathetic, our rest, digest, and relaxation. It's very important to maintain proper balance in our nervous system because it controls the involuntary or the autonomic processes. The really obvious ones are things like our heart rate and our respiratory rate, but more importantly are things like our stress hormone production, inflammatory responses, and immune function as well. So utilizing this assessment, we'll perform it before every single training session, allows us to look at physiological readiness for different types of activity. Also, what we're looking at with this assessment is what's called photoplethysmography, which is a quantitative assessment of arterial elasticity. Basically, when we're young, we're active and we're healthy, we tend to maintain very flexible, very supple arteries, which are very adaptive to change. As we get older, we sit at a desk 8 hours a day, we let the chronic stresses of life get to us, or maintain poor lifestyle habits. Ultimately, this all leads to hardening of the arteries, and this decreases the elasticity or the ability to go deliver oxygen and nutrients throughout the body, which is extremely important to things like cardiovascular health, recovery from injury, as well as exercise, the ability to build or maintain muscle mass, and it's also something that we'll look at in terms of overtraining. Typically, what we'll utilize this assessment for is to pinpoint minor deficiencies in things like nitric oxide production. Basically, every single blood vessel has a very thin layer called an endothelial lining, 1 cell thick. This is where nitric oxide is produced. Nitric oxide is basically the primary vasodilator, which goes and opens up our blood vessels. What we're looking at here is deficiencies in things like our nitrates. Basically, if you have poor peripheral elasticity, we can supplement things like a beetroot powder and significantly improve your nitric oxide production and therefore your overall circulation.